Every few months, a new headline declares it. Productivity is booming. Economists celebrate rising output. Companies tout efficiency gains, and tech CEOs claim their AI tools are making workers unstoppable. But here's the strange part. If we're supposedly more productive than ever, why does it feel like we're all working harder, longer, and burning out faster? Welcome to the productivity paradox of the AI era, a moment where output is up, but satisfaction, creativity, and balance are down. And it's forcing businesses to ask a question most of them have avoided for years. Are we even measuring success the right way anymore? Let's start with what the numbers actually say. Officially, U.S. productivity, measured as output per hour, has climbed in recent quarters. Economists call it a productivity boom, driven largely by digital tools, automation, and the early wave of artificial intelligence. Companies are producing more with fewer workers, and on paper, that looks like progress. But peel back the numbers and the story gets messier. Because while the data says we're becoming more efficient, the reality inside companies tells a different story, one of burnout, constant pressure, and diminishing returns. Across industries, employees are spending more hours on digital tools, more time managing data, and less time doing creative or strategic work. Meetings have multiplied. Inbox volumes have exploded. The average worker now spends nearly 60% of their day on communication platforms, emails, chats, and dashboards, just to stay productive. In other words, we're measuring motion, not progress. AI was supposed to change that. It was meant to strip away the grunt work, the repetitive reports, the tedious data entry, the mindless tasks, and free humans for higher value thinking. And in some ways, it's doing that. But at the same time, AI has raised expectations to impossible heights. Now that automation exists, the pressure isn't to do less, it's to do everything faster. Companies expect employees to handle more projects, generate more ideas, and hit more ambitious targets because the tools make it easier. Except they don't always make it better. It's what some analysts call the productivity illusion. We're producing more, but not necessarily creating more value. We're doing more work, but not necessarily better work. Think about it. A marketing team can now churn out 10 versions of an ad in seconds using AI. But does that mean all 10 are good? Or that customers will connect with them more deeply? Probably not. In many cases, the flood of AI-generated content and output just adds noise. The signal, the meaningful, human part of productivity, gets lost. And that's where the problem starts. Businesses are still using 20th century metrics to measure 21st century work. They're tracking hours, volume, and output, not creativity, clarity, or impact. The tools have evolved, but the scorecard hasn't. That's why so many employees feel drained. They're hitting the numbers but missing the purpose. The AI era promised freedom, but it's quietly turned into a treadmill, one that moves faster every quarter. The irony is that AI is genuinely boosting productivity in some areas: logistics, coding, design, data analysis. But companies often respond to those gains by demanding more output instead of giving people breathing room to think, innovate, or rest. The result is a strange corporate loop. Efficiency improves, workloads increase, burnout rises, creativity drops, productivity stagnates again. And round it goes. Even at the national level, economists are noticing something odd. Despite the hype around efficiency and automation, total factor productivity, the measure of how effectively we combine technology, labor, and capital, hasn't skyrocketed. It's improving slowly, not exponentially. That suggests we're still learning how to use AI well, or worse, that we're misusing it entirely. Because productivity isn't just about doing more with less, it's about using what we have more intelligently. And that's where the real challenge lies. Some forward-thinking companies are starting to get it. Instead of using AI to push workers harder, they're using it to create breathing room. They're reducing meeting overload, automating administrative work, and giving teams space for experimentation. One CEO described it this way: AI doesn't replace humans. It replaces the noise that keeps humans from doing their best work. But that mindset is still rare. Most organizations remain obsessed with short-term gains. They see every productivity bump as a chance to trim headcount, boost margins, or demand higher output. In the process, they burn through their most valuable asset, their people. That's why burnout rates are climbing, even as technology gets smarter. It's also why workers are reporting record levels of disengagement, despite having more digital tools than ever. Because when productivity becomes a metric instead of a mission, meaning disappears. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. We're not in a productivity boom. We're in a measurement crisis. We're counting everything that's easy to measure and ignoring everything that matters. Creativity, focus, collaboration, innovation. These are the real drivers of long-term success, but they're harder to quantify, so they're often overlooked. AI could fix that, or make it worse. If companies use AI to understand how work actually happens, which tasks waste time, which projects create impact, where employees get stuck, it could usher in a new era of smart, sustainable productivity. But if they use AI to track, monitor, and squeeze workers even harder, we'll end up more exhausted than ever. More productive, on paper, but less human in practice. The future of business productivity will depend on which path leaders choose. Because the next great advantage in business won't come from who automates the fastest. It'll come from who defines productivity the smartest. Companies that use AI to enhance human creativity will thrive. Those that use it to measure humans like machines will plateau. So maybe the real productivity revolution isn't about doing more work in less time. Maybe it's about redefining what productive really means. To build a version of success that measures quality over quantity, insight over output, and fulfillment over exhaustion. Because if the AI era has taught us anything, it's this. The point of progress isn't to make people work like machines. It's to finally let them work like humans.